What's going on, guys? It's your favorite What If creator, Jay What Ifs, back at it again. This time, I'm going to give y'all something special. I'm going to give y'all a Thanksgiving special. So, you know what? I'm going to start this video off by saying Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hopefully by the time this is up, it should be the 27th, 28th. I don't really know. Happy Thanksgiving if this is late. Happy belated Thanksgiving. Today, I'm gonna throw something at y'all, like something that I hope has never been done before. I just want to say I'm grateful for all of you guys, for all the people who watch, support my videos. I'm thankful for my friends and family and my amazing girlfriend. I'm so thankful for you all. And without further ado, let's get into what if Deku had a Thanksgiving quirk. So our story starts off with Deku being born, like as every other story starts off. You know how it goes. So he's born, and you know he's kind of like, he seems like he's going to be a special child. However, he's normal. I mean, like he's just a normal kid. You know, he's born, he gets home, and his father Hisashi, his quirk is an emitter type, and his mother is obviously the same, levitation type. So no one really knows where he's gonna get his quirk from. But little do we know, it's actually just plot armor. I'm kidding. So his father is actually going to be Fat Gum. Or not Fat Gum. It's going to be a Fat Gum-esque. I'll explain later. So the first 3-ish years of his life go on as they typically do in canon. You know, he lives, he breathes, he does his thing, he meets up with Bakugo, they become friends. Then he is 4. Bakugo gets his quirk. And then, okay. So wait, let me read this quirk that I have planned really quick. Hold up. And actually, it turns out to be Thanksgiving. And so they're all talking and they're all having fun and they're eating at the lunch table whenever Bakugo's popping his explosions in his hand and saying, "Yo, Izu, have you gotten your quirk yet? Let's test it out." So they go outside and they, like, whenever it's recess time, and Deku sees the workers throwing out a bunch of really good food. And all of a sudden, he sees that and he walks up to them and like, "Why are you throwing it all away? It's perfectly good. Why not give it to someone?" And the worker says, well, Izuku, that would be really unsanitary. We shouldn't just give out leftover food like that. Well, what if it was messed up, or what if it was harmful? Izuku's like, "Well, couldn't you give it to like a homeless person or someone less fortunate?" And they're like, "Oh, Izuku, you don't know all the things that go into that, blah, 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 blah." Then he goes back to the playground, and you can just tell he has this like different type of glow. He seems to be a little bigger even, and he seems just like overall more powerful. And then his mom comes to pick him up, and she sees this, and Bakugo's sad that his friend is going home, but he pops some explosions in his hands while waving by. And actually, the next day, they take him to the quirk doctor to find out he does have a quirk. And it's funny, they thought his quirk was related to food. So they're like, "Huh, that's so weird." But then the doctor, he was eating a sandwich before they came in, and then he decided to toss it out because he didn't really like it. And Izuku asking the same thing, "Why are you just throwing out perfectly good food?" And then they could tell, like, after it got discarded and after it got thrown away, Izuku became stronger, like abnormally stronger. So the doctors look at each other and they're like, "Huh, how odd." So then they try it out. They test it out with different foods. They see like what would give it best, and they figure out his quirk is this. Okay, his quirk is called leftovers. It's an emitter type quirk. The description of it: whenever food is wasted or left uneaten near the user, they can absorb, or near Deku, they can absorb its leftover energy and convert it into raw power. The more leftovers around, the stronger they become, turning post-meal scraps into the fuel to supercharge them. The abilities of it is literally just energy conversion, which is rotten food, or like food that gets thrown away, becomes the physical strength, like the physical stats of Deku. He also has waste scent tracking. He can actually sense food waste from a long distance away, like a Thanksgiving bloodhound almost, which is really cool. Like, I just thought, like, it was like if he can find the leftovers and if he can find the things that get like discarded, then he's gonna be almost unstoppable. As well, he can convert this absorbed food energy into a powerful explosion of debris. However, I'm thinking about changing that up a bit. Like, I feel like instead of converting it into debris, I think he should just be able to, like what Fatcum can do, he can convert that energy into like one super punch. I think I might do that to where he can do that, but like throughout his whole body, giving him like a makeshift one for all. So that's going to be it. It only works on discarded food, obviously. Over absorption can cause nausea and just like throwing up, just like honestly just feeling overall weakness. Like, you guys know whenever you eat so much to the point where you just get weak, he would get that. And then once his fuel runs out, his powers completely drop. So he actually goes to less than what a normal human would be. So yeah. Then the next day he goes to school and he shows Bakugo, and he actually takes his whole lunchbox and he throws it away. He takes his whole lunchbox, his whole food, and he throws it away. And he shows Bakugo, and you can just see Deku just getting so much more powerful. Like, he flicks a can and nothing really happens to the can, but after he throws his food away, he flicks it and it goes flying across the entire room. Mind you, 4-year-old Izuku. So then we get into the rest of their lives. So from now on, every single time Izuku gets a chance, like if he typically takes breakfast and lunch and he throws it away, and then he uses dinner to, he doesn't throw it away. He typically does. He takes it into a quarter and then throws the rest away, absorbing 3/4 of the meal. Now, he stockpiles it, and then he figures out that, like, trying to build this overall, like, maximum capacity of absorption that he can have. So, and he's, this is growing up from 4 all the way till, I think it's 14, we'll say. So, he's building up, and he's, like, making his energy, like, absorption, like, higher and higher and higher. He's lengthening the distance that the leftover food needs to be. As well, he's making it to where he can control more of the power that he can burst out, like, through his body. Essentially training his physical body so that way he can learn to emit a more powerful, like, energy kind of explosion, almost like a burst of energy throughout his body. So this would be like a makeshift one for all for only a few seconds. Then I would say, once he's about 14, him and Bakugo would have had like a kind of tumultuous, like a rivalry yet still friendship. He wouldn't get the name Izu or Deku, but he would be Izu, Bakugo would still be Kachan, and they would still be friends. Bakugo thinking that it's not a powerful quirk, but he could always just become number 2 right by his side. And that's what Bakugo says, and Izuku kind of falls with it. Not believing it, like, he still has that strive to become number 1, to become like his favorite hero, All Might. I mean, heck, his quirk is closer to what All Might's is. I mean, it's a stockpiling quirk. It's an absorption quirk. Like, he can have close, like, if he can gain enough maximum absorption and he throws away enough food and he discards the food, then with enough absorption, he can have just as much power as All Might for just a quick burst, but still, he's having that much power as a number 1 pro hero. Of course, he won't actively have that, like, at 16, like, so, don't worry, I'm not going to make him overpowered. But, I would say at the age of 14, him and Bakugo, they decided to train together a bit, like, they trained at, like, 12, but, I mean, they didn't really train, they kind of just, used their own quirks, and they were in the same room. So, at the age of 14, they both decide, hey, why not let's spar a little bit, let's, like, train ourselves. And Izuku's like, yeah, why don't we go to, like, a boxing class, or, like, why don't we take, like, a like fighting class, let's get some, like, hands going, like, let's see, like, so we can fight and spar and we can do it safely, And Bakugo obviously agrees, and their parents decide to pay for the classes, like, wanting them to succeed in life. So they take these classes. I'm gonna say that they take boxing, they do regular boxing, and then I'm also going to say they do taekwondo. We're gonna say they do taekwondo. Taekwondo because I like the movements. I'm gonna say Deku on the side secretly takes Muay Thai, and that he's been taking like for a long time now, because Muay Thai is all about using your entire body, your elbows, your knees, your like anything and everything on your body, using it as a weapon. So he takes that class from the age of, we'll say, 12 to 14. So 14 to about 15, they take boxing and taekwondo, and then at the age of 15, they're walking to the class when they stumble across the beach. None other being Dagobah Beach. So they're like, as a kid, I always remember this being so clean. I mean, when did it get so crappy? And Bakugo's just like, yeah, people always dump their trash out into the sea and it washes up here. You know, it's a real shame. Why don't we clean it up? And Deku's like, why don't we clean it up? I mean, I know my whole thing is rotten and discarded things, but I'm sure, like, there's gotta be some... And then he goes... He sniffs the air, and he can smell all the discarded food that's in the area. And he goes down there, and he starts cleaning and just doing his whole thing. And Bakugo follows him and starts like, "Yo, Izu, what are you doing, bro? Like, why are we still here? Let's just go to class." And he's like, "Bakugo, go, Kachan, go on ahead of me. I'll catch up with you." Little to no end, he did not catch up with him. He stayed there for the entire 2 or 3 hours that it took Bakugo to finish up the class, and when Bakugo's walking home, seeing that Izuku wasn't there, he gets worried about his friend, and he goes running to the beach, and he sees Izuku sitting there, like, not... He just sees Izuku just standing there, like, cleaning up the beach, like, trying to find extra trash, and, like, trying to find extra food that had been discarded. So, Bakugo's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm cleaning up the beach a little bit. I mean, I smell some extra food that's under here. That might actually give me some good energy." So Bakugo's like, "Fine, I'll help you out a little bit." So Bakugo gets to helping out, and they both begin cleaning. And then after about a month, we get the start of where my hero actually started. Deku was walking down the street, and he sees Mount Lady and Kamui Woods, and he's just like, well, I'm sure they'll handle it. And then he actually walks to school faster than what he would in canon, and with Bakugo at his side, basically. So whenever he gets to school, the teacher throws the job application letters in the air and is like, "I know you all want to be heroes." And he's like, "Even our 2 top students, Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo, want to go to UA, the top school in I think it's the entire world." So Bakugo stands up and is like, "Yeah, me and Izuku are going to be number 1 and number 2. And I'm going to be number 1 and he's going to be right by my side." Yeah, everybody else would be good, it might as well just be sidekick extras. But me and Izuku, we're going to the top 2 even. And everybody is like, "Yeah, I mean, it sounds about right, you know." And he's like, and the teacher's like, "Calm down, Katsuki. I know you and Izu are at the top of the class, but still, we need to talk." So they begin to talking, and they talk about this 10 months of training that Bakugo and Izuku and the rest of the class are going to have for the respective schools that everyone is going to. So in these 10 months, what I see happening is Deku training, doing the Dagobah Beach, and it took him all 10 months to do it in canon. But given the fact that he already had a full month to do it, I'm going to say it's going to take him 9 months. And because the fact he's walking with Bakugo, I think they might go to the arcade or something, or like they might go hang out. So there would be no real slime incident, meaning Deku never really meets All Might. I mean, he doesn't really need to, you know? I'm wondering, like, who I want to give One For All to, because I feel like it'd be cool to give it to Mirio, but, like, at the same time, I feel like it might be cool to give it to Izuku or Bakugo. Or Kirishima, even. I love the prospect of, like, thinking about Kirishima having One For All. Sorry, guys, I'm going on a little bit of a rant, but that's kind of my job for what I'm doing. So, excuse me. What I see happening is, after the first, like, 2 or 3-ish months, what I can see happening is, or actually, no, the day of the slime incident, I could see they go to the arcade, they hang out, then they actually go to Dagobah Beach, and they clean up a bit. I could see All Might, after picking up the villain, taking him to the police, going to Dagobah Beach, and just scouting it out. Like, seeing, like, how much of the state it is, how bad of a state it's in. One second, guys. My back hurts really bad. I'm gonna pop it. I don't know how. I literally don't know how. Every other joint in my body popped before my back did. But anyways, I could see All Might stopping by the beach and seeing these two, like, already, like, pretty good, making pretty good headway. I would see, since there's actually 2 of them and they're being pretty consistent, they're going every day, I could see they probably have about what took, in the 1 month span, they probably have what took Izuku 2.5 months to do. In canon, because you have to think, Deku has actually been training, and Bakugo's there with them as well. They only, the reason why they're not at 3 months is because they take some time to, like, for themselves, going to the arcade and stuff as well. Like sparring, like light sparring, they have boxing and taekwondo classes still. So, it's just like prioritizing time. So, but in these 10 months, they don't have school really to worry about. I know they did in canon, but like I'm thinking about like what would be in like America would be there would be a summer break, So I'm gonna imagine like that's what the 10 months would be. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't really know. Regardless, what I see happening is at the 2 month mark, All Might goes there again and sees the boys there again, and he's like, huh, like, well, I guess I don't really need to take Mirio here. So he buffs up and he walks down to the beach and it's like, what are you two kiddos doing? So Bakugo and Deku are like, All Might, what are you doing here? And Bakugo says it in his own scratchy voice. Then, I could see All Might just like talking to them for a minute and then being like, yeah, we're both planning to go to UA and being pro heroes. And he's like, that's a very ambitious dream. I hope you guys will be successful if you put your mind to it, put in the work to your bodies and quirks. And they're both like, thanks, All Might. So they keep doing their training, and All Might kind of leaves. Then 3 months later, so now we're at the 5 month mark. All Might comes again, but he's coming again, and he sees them there again, and they're almost done. It looks to be, with the pace that they're making, they probably only have about an extra like month, if that. So All Might goes down there and is like, doesn't go down there, but he looks at them and he's like, they would be pretty good candidates for One For All. I'm losing it. And he grabs his scar like above his shirt, and he's like, I don't know. Maybe let's see how they do. He just sees Izuku he just sees Izuku pick up a piece of food waste that was like completely discarded, and he picks it up, and he just sees Izuku kind of buff up as he watches as his veins begin to glow this like orangish yellow as he picks up something that he should not be able to pick up given his stature. But then he sees him like he picks it up with almost ease, and he puts it on the top of the stack. After this, what I imagine happening would be, Bakugo would like explode a piece of trash, and Deku would be like, "Hey, you can't use your quirk in public, man. Like, we're gonna get in trouble." And Bakugo's like, "That's fine." So Bakugo then carries it, and Izuku's carrying like double what he is because of the trash, and All Might's like, "The boy with the green hair, he seems almost perfect." And after this, what I imagine would happen would be Izuku would see All Might and is like, "Oh, what's up, All Might?" And as he says this, All Might puffs down into his small mind, like, "Dang it, my time light." And before he can jump off or anything, Deku immediately runs in there like, "All Might, are you okay?" And then he sees Small Might spitting out blood, and he's like, "Oh, you're not All Might." And he's like, "No, kid, I am. Due to this injury, blah, blah, blah." He goes on the spout of injuries and stuff. Bakugo sees it. Deku sees it. He doesn't talk about One For All yet. Then what I imagine happening would be, how do I want to go about this? So another month goes by. All Might comes with them every single day, watches over them, he actually gives them like the ability to use their quirks legally to train. So then at the 6 months mark, the Dagobah beach is completely clean. Then for the rest of the 4 months, Bakugo and Deku actually use the beach to use it for strength training. So they and combat training. They spar, they pick up weights, they do the whole things, Then what I would imagine happening would be at the 9-month mark, he would talk to Bakugo and Deku, and he would propose One For All, talking to them about it and be like, "But I don't know, I'm stuck on who I think would be best fit. You see, Izuku, you already have a stockpiling quirk, so you already have the potential that this quirk can give you. but you have a true heart of a hero, and I'm so astonished by that. Bakugo, you also have the heart of a hero, but you have a quirk that would do phenomenally, and it would be completely stacked with this quirk. So I'm having a tough time. And Deku's just like, I mean, give it to Bakugo if you need to, but I mean, I'm always fine with taking it. I mean, I feel like, and All Might looks them both up and down, and he sees Izuku like having a better frame, honestly, and since he already knows how to use a stockpiling quirk, he figures like he would be able to use it to its fullest extent, and he would decide to give it to Izuku at this 9-month mark. Bakugo wouldn't really worry about it too much and be like, nah, I want to do this with my own quirk anyways. So then, for the rest of the month, like, Izuku would train with One For All, breaking his arms every now and then. But then, after about that, like, month mark, he'd be like, okay, so I need to use it like how I use my stockpiling quirk, where I need to form it through my entire body. Figuring it out way earlier than in canon. So, and he can use about, since he's been training for longer, I'm going to say he can use 10% off rip. Hold on. And I'm gonna say at his 100% leftover form, I'm going to say that he could use about 25% of One For All, but he has to be at a 100% leftover. But not at 0%, but at like 10%, he can use 10% One For All. So pretty much all of the time, so that way he doesn't, because he will never let himself get anywhere below 10% leftover. So, but yeah. Let's see, what do I want to do next? So then, we get to the entrance exam. Bakugo and Deku are walking together, and Deku, of course, still trips. He's still clumsy, he's still like himself, but this time Bakugo catches him by the collar, picking him up, and is like, yo, don't lose your aura, man. We had so much aura walking in here. We look the best, we are the best. Come on now, pick yourself up. And Deku's just like, I get it, Kachan, don't worry, man. And he's just like, Izu, you really gotta stop. The practical exam would go exactly as in canon. I don't see like anything changing for that. Then we get to the physical exam, and I might be getting those two the like written portion, and then we get to the practical. Now, this is where it's going to be interesting. So with Izuku having the controlled One For All, like almost full cowling, but honestly, I don't think he would have full cowling as much as I think he would have like a full All Might variant, where he wouldn't like have the One For All flowing through all of his body. He would have it flowing through, or just his muscles. He would have it flowing through his entire body, meaning he would buff up because of One For All. He wouldn't just get full cowling. So, but because of the sake for aura, I'm gonna say he does get full cowling. But he gets like the lightning of full cowling, but he doesn't get like the, you guys know what I'm talking about, I hope. But, like, yeah, we'll just say he gets full cowling. Then what I can see happening, what happens from here would be, they both go into their respective areas, and Deku goes to the front, kind of just, like, doing his own thing, and blah, 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 Ida obviously stopping him. But then the second the doors open, Izuku, full cowling, 10%, immediately runs into it with I'm going to say, he kind of stockpiled, I'm going to say, he only stockpiled about 60% leftovers. Like with whatever he found laying on the street and stuff, because he kind of borderline forgot about it because he was so focused on training One For All. So then I'm going to say at 60%, I'm going to say he could probably use about 15. No. Yeah, we'll say he can use 15. Because at 100% leftovers, I'm going to say he can use like 30. So yeah, 15 at 60 makes about sense. Hold on. Sorry guys, my throat and my nose is clogged and my mouth is so dry. That's what Thanksgiving does to you guys. It's them rolls. It's the rolls, I swear. My bad. Anyways, I'll lock in. But what I imagine happening from there is, I can imagine Deku and Bakugo getting very similar scores. However, what I would imagine happening differently would be, how do I want this to go? I'm going to say Bakugo does like 5 points better than Deku, but Deku scores like 5 points under him. And then we get to the 0-pointer. Now he sees Uraraka stuck under the rubble and he immediately goes to help. He then sees the 0-pointer, and exactly as he does in canon, he jumps up with One For All, but this time he puts the full cowling into his legs. He jumps, using whatever leftover food was in the area, which was not a lot. And with a, I'm going to say like 62% leftover and a like 16% one for all smash, he doesn't cave in as much as he does, but whenever he makes contact, like the robot like obviously takes internal damage from it. Like unplugging some wires, like shutting it off basically. But whenever he does this, the robot shuts off. It doesn't like explode and fall down. So I could actually see him gaining a lot more hero points in this version. Meaning I could see him gaining about 85 hero points because he didn't destroy any of the buildings with it. And he landed safely, meaning he wasn't at jeopardy for anything. So after this, what I would say is he would get top ranks. Then after this, what I imagine would happen would be Deku going home with Bakugo. He continues to train. He continues to go to the arcade, like having fun times himself. 2 weeks later, he gets an acceptance letter, and it kind of goes as in canon, you know, like as we kind of expect it to do. Differently because he's actually has a quirk now, but also very similar because it's still All Might. He still has one for all. So yeah. What I mentioned happening afterwards, he goes to school, but this time since he walks in with Bakugo, it's not this like initial shock of Deku or Bakugo having his feet up on the desk. Like Bakugo goes to put his feet up on the desk, and Deku's just like, "Please don't, dude. It's just gonna cause so many problems for no reason." And Bakugo's just like, "Fine, I guess. I mean, you scored just the same as you did actually worse than me on the hero portion, but I mean, I guess you did get the support, so I can't even be mad about it, I guess." So then they're just like talking and stuff, but they're talking and stuff, but Ida walks in, the whole class walks in, and Aizawa stands up and is like, "Come on, put these on and meet me outside. I don't want to deal with your chit chatter." Deku and Bakugo to shrug like, "Aye," and then they do it. So then afterwards, like I keep saying afterwards, they go outside, they get it on, and once they're outside, Aizawa tosses a ball to Izuku and is like, "Yo, get in the circle, toss the ball, do whatever you need to, just don't leave the circle." And he's just like, "Wait, I can use my quirk?" And he's just like, "Yeah, use your quirk. Why would we not?" And Deku's just like, can I get like some time to prepare?" And Aizawa's like, "What do you mean?" And Deku's just like, "Wait here." And Deku, what he does is he goes to a nearby trash can and he finds like a few pieces of food. And I would say what he finds, he gets about, I'm going to say he was already at 10% left over. So I'm going to say he gets about 40% left over, putting him at about, if he got 15 for 60, I'm going to say he can use 13% one for all. So he walks in the circle and he uses it. Mind you, this is also his own buffed strength. So he gets better. He gets, I'm going to say he gets 20 meters better than he does in canon. Bakugo gets 10 meters than in canon, and then everybody gets the canon scores. Deku doing better in every other aspect. Just like I would say he gets about like a 50%. He gets like a 50% boost. So I'm gonna say that Bakugo's at the top, Deku's at second place, and so on, and then everybody else is how it goes. Mineta getting last place, but he doesn't get expelled, obviously, because we need some comedic relief. Hold on. Excuse me. What I can then see happening after this would be they go back up to the class as they normally do, and I can see, I could see class going just like normal. You know, nothing crazy happens. Wow, I have the hiccups. Oh, and I can't stop yawning. Oh, this is like crazy for me. Sorry guys, I'm recording this like pretty late at night, so I know my girlfriend is waiting on me, but let's smash this video out. So the next day they show up in class, All Might rushes in, and everybody's like, "All Might, blah 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 blah." So then what I imagine happening would be in the battle trial. So everything goes as in canon. Izuku has the same outfit as in canon. And Bakugo's just like, "Dude, that has like no aura, little bro." And Deku's just like, "Shut up. Don't even." I could see like Izuku would have like a little bit of like dramatic flair from Bakugo, like kind of rubbing off on him. But honestly, I would say Deku actually rubs off more on Bakugo in this, because Deku always put up a really good fight against Bakugo, just barely though, you know? So like the only reason why would be Bakugo having the ego, you know? The confidence to say that he's going to be number one, whereas Deku kind of just sits back and lets him like think that he'll be number two. Battle trial starts, and I'm going to say it's Bakugo and Deku versus Todoroki and Ida. I'm going to say Todoroki and Ida are the villains in this, because I want this to be like an interesting one. What I imagine happening would be Deku, after hearing about the fact that they were going to be doing battle trials, he would quickly run inside and he would find as many trash cans as he can. I'm going to say he actually gets to about 85% leftovers. So at this 85% leftovers, I'm going to say he gets about 20 to 22% one for all. And because of this, so they start the fight, and Deku and Bakugo immediately rush in, and Todoroki, doing as he typically does, trying to freeze everything. Bakugo explodes the ice immediately. Todoroki trying to refreeze it as fast as possible, but Izuku, using his like sound mind, can track where the ice is coming from, and eventually, after Bakugo explodes so many like times, eventually, like he's going to start running out of sweat, and Todoroki is going to start freezing himself. So that would only leave Ida on ice, and Deku. It would be basically just a frozen Todoroki and a sweatless Bakugo, and a Ida on ice and a Deku on ice. So what I imagine happening is they find the room. Bakugo can't really do much because his hands are dried up and they're frozen basically. And despite his gloves warming them up, he can't generate the sweat to explode them. And Todoroki is like almost completely frozen over. So what I then imagine happening would be Deku using his one for all. He soundly and quickly trying to take out both the villains. He runs, he takes a step and slips on the ice. Ida doing the same. But in this slip, I'm going to say Ida and Deku actually hit each other on accident, and Deku slides and hits the bomb. And hero team wins! So it's a comedic, it's something comedic, like, you know, it's something that you would see to happen in a like comedy. It should not have happened, but that's just the way it unfolded. Todoroki, seeing this, obviously tried to jump out at Izuku and failed, and because Bakugo, I'm going to say he actually held him back, like, nah, I might not be able to generate sweat because of this, you icy hot, but I'm at least going to hold you back. Then Deku touches the bomb, and that's how it goes. Then what I can see happening would be they have like a good week or two, and then they get into the USJ. Aizawa says, here, take these forms home to your parents and have them sign them. And Deku's just like, yo, do you think Aunt Mitsuki can sign this for me? I don't think my mom will sign this. She barely even wants me to be a hero, let alone want me to go to this place. And he's just like, yeah, sure, I got you. So they both hit up Bakugo's house, and they both get Mitsuki to sign it. Bakugo and Mitsuki having that like kind of tumultuous relationship that they do in canon, but like not at the same time, because Izuku is always there. And I can see them being a little bit like less screaming matches when Izuku's over there. What I can see happening from here on is they go to school the next day, and this is when the villains actually do the reporters thing that happens. I'm gonna say everything happens as it does in canon. I don't think anything changes, except in this one, Izuku actually gets elected class leader. And he doesn't take it because he doesn't feel like he's worthy of it. Ida gets it as well. Obviously also trying to turn it down, but then Ida is elected because of this. So after this, they get on the bus, they go to the USJ, and Deku can just like feel this like trashy like feeling. And because of the fact that he knew the USJ was coming up, I'm going to say he got 100% leftovers. So I'm going to say with the extra like kind of like, honestly, almost a month. I'm going to say with the 100% leftovers, he could use 35% one for all. So he sees the villains, everybody sees the villains, and with 35% one for all active, like throughout his entire body, like he sees Kurogiri step up, and using his speed that he has with 35% one for all, jumps down with Aizawa. Then what I can see happening from here would be he jumps down with Aizawa and he starts putting belt to butt. And when I say that, I mean like him and Aizawa are going back to back, fighting villains, punching them, kicking them left to right, left to right. Then Shigaraki's like, no, it's not fair. He wasn't supposed to be in this fight. Nomu, kill that brat. So the Nomu obviously goes rushing at Izuku, and Izuku, having 35% one for all, just barely able to dodge it. He's like, what the heck? Aizawa canceling its quirk, but it's still just as fast, it's still just as powerful. Izuku punches. Nothing. And then he gets contacted with a Nomu punch, sending him flying, and I mean flying. He then hits the wall and he's like, that hurt. Oh, why did that hurt so bad? Then, what I can see happening would be Izuku's just like, man, I gotta surpass my limits and go plus ultra. He can feel his, like, 2 or 3 of his ribs completely shattered. He can feel his shoulder, his tendons, like beginning to just, like, hurt themselves. He then pushes his limit, going to 45% one for all, taking all the trash, like, leftover food that was in the USJ, extending his tracking to the entire area, finding that he can find only one thing that would push him to 120%. He can find a few things that would push him to 120% leftovers. He goes and finds it. He gets them, and like with the Nomu like following closely behind him, pushing himself to 45% one for all, getting these leftovers. He then begins fighting the one for all. He's putting 20%, 30%, 40%. Like he's putting as much of his leftover strength into his punches. Finally, just finally, barely, he's able to contact the Nomu, hitting it in its brain, like stunning it and knocking it out. Not killing it, but not just knocking it out. Shigaraki's like, no, it's not fair. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to kill that. He wasn't supposed to hurt the Nomu. Dang it. Then then All Might comes, and everything else happens as canon, kind of. The only thing that I see happening would be All Might, whenever he gets there, would actually he would see the Nomu, and the Nomu would get up and see All Might, and they would start scrapping, and then the All Might fight that would happen in canon happens. This time, actually being a lot faster because Neku had already stunned it, and then Snipe comes and pow, 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 shoots Shigaraki, for lack of a better term. He mag dumps Shigaraki. I'm sorry, that will never not be funny to me. That was the best. That was the best scene of MHA season 1. I hate to break it to y'all, but then we get to. Then after the pro heroes come, they help the students and everything, and Izuku gets put in the hospital, and Ingo comes in and is like, I didn't even know that you were going there, blah 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 blah, and he's like, yeah, I kind of figured you'd be worried, and she was just like, yeah, if I would have known there would have been villains that could have hurt you, yeah, I'd be worried, blah 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 blah, and he's just like, I didn't know there would be villains. So UA goes on a week or 2 break to let their students heal, and Izuku heals up. And whenever they get back, they find out about the sports festival. Now, whenever they find this out, I'm going to say they find it out, and Aizawa was like, yeah, we want to make sure that the villains know that, we aren't afraid of them, you know? So then what I imagine happening, honestly, everything, okay, so then with the crowd that appears in front of the door, what I'm going to imagine would happen would be, they would appear, and Bakugo and Deku would just walk through them. Then, and I think it's the next day or something, the sports festival happens. And whenever the sports festival happens, Izuku goes up to the stage and is like, I just want everybody to do their best and know that no matter what, we're all going to be pro heroes and we're all going to go plus ultra. Yeah. And he says that, and everybody goes crazy, and All Might is and he gives a really good speech. I don't have that. I don't have one on off the dome. This is just a one shot for y'all. And because I want y'all to have a good Thanksgiving, I want y'all to So he says his good speech, and then he goes and he gets trapped. I'm gonna say, knowing the sports festival, he easily gets 100% leftovers again. And because of the fact that he overdid, I forgot to mention this, because of the fact that he overdid his absorption skill at the USJ, I'm going to say he was off for a week just because of that. You know, because he went over 20%, he was out for a week. His whole 2 weeks was him recovering from his like broken bones, but it was also him recovering from the nausea and sickness from overdoing his leftover skill. So I'm going to say he's actually going to sit at like 95% leftovers. And I'm going to say, because of the fact that he went to 40, he pushed his one for all, I'm going to also say that like his tendons like kind of are torn a little bit, you know, like they're not in great shape. But they also like healed up a little bit because of the break, and he iced them, heated them, like did all the like recovery things. Now, what I can see happening at the sports festival, stage 1 would be the race. Now, Izuku would not get caught in the ice. Him, Bakugo, and Todoroki would all be neck and neck. This time though, I see Bakugo taking first, Todoroki taking second, Deku taking third. Deku and Bakugo being on the same team with Mei Hatsume, Kirishima, and Denki. Mina going with Todoroki, and Mina going with whoever she would go with, and everybody passes in canon because I'm not covering the cavalry battle because it's boring. Now, I'm going to say the fights, honestly, Shinso, Deku would talk back, he would have the same like one for all vestige thing happen, and he would punch Shinso with a regular punch and be like, yeah, I beat you without my quirk. I'm kidding. Then the next fight that we need to cover would be Izuku versus Todoroki. Now, and this is going to be a little bit different because instead of Izuku going on crash out mode, breaking the ice, Todoroki would still have that, "Are you All Might's secret love child?" That could be like, "Yeah, nah, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Not his secret love child. Don't worry, Todoroki." Then what I could see happening would be during the fight, Todoroki setting up the barrier behind him. Deku honestly just like bum rushes him, breaking the ice in front of him, and then with like he breaks the ice with his left hand, launching himself, and then just full like a 30% smash with one for all and his 100% leftover, like just regular strength, punches him, shatters his ice, sends him flying out of the arena. Then Ida would have forfeit, and so on. Then we would get to the main battle, being Deku versus Bakugo. Now, in this fight, what I imagine happening would be honestly just a hand-to-hand scrap for the first like minute or two, and then Bakugo starts throwing in explosions, Deku starts using one for all, and what I imagine happening would be Bakugo would win this. Now, the reason why Bakugo would win this would be because Deku, while not holding back, but he doesn't want to hurt himself nor his best friend. So what I imagine would happen would be he would punch Bakugo in the stomach, Bakugo would blast an explosion, like end his face, and then he would hit him with a howitzer impact. Now Deku just seeing this would be like, yeah, nah, I'm not getting hit with that. I forfeit. I've been hit with that before. Nah, I quit. And Bakugo would be like, come on, it was just getting fun. Cemento's putting up a wall and Bakugo letting it out. And then Bakugo and Deku stand up on top of the arena, like number 1 and number 2, Todoroki, Tokoyami getting number 3. Now, after this, what I imagine happening would be Deku would actually go with Bakugo to Best Jeanist. Because he probably wouldn't want to go alone to Hosu. Actually, no. He would probably go with... he would still go with Gran Torino. No, there wouldn't really be anything for Gran Torino to teach him. Yeah, I'm going to imagine, like, All Might would talk to him about Gran Torino, and he'd be like, I mean, what would Gran Torino even teach me? I mean, honestly, like, the only thing that he could be able to really teach me would be full cowling, and I, like, already know that. Like, I already have a stockpiling quirk. So All Might would be like, yes, that's true. So he decides to go with Best Jeanist with his best friend, and honestly, this is, like, a really fun time, not knowing what was happening to Ida. They get to class and they figure out that their classmate has been brutally killed by the hero killer Stain. After seeking revenge, Ida had sought out the hero killer, and whenever he did, the hero killer found him and killed him. So UA immediately gets a 1-month break, and final exams get pushed back. But during the final exams, they actually have to change it up a bit. So, in the spirit of trying to lighten the mood, Shinso actually gets brought to Class 1A for the final exams. Now, this wouldn't change much. Whoever was with Ida is like pretty much an immediate win. I think he was with Ojiro, and I think they fought. I'm trying to remember who they fought, just like off the dome. I can't remember. Let me know in the comments, but I would say that would be like a pretty easy win, unless it's like Ectoplasm, who just doesn't talk. So then we get to Deku and Bakugo versus All Might. Now, Deku being Bakugo's friend would be like, dude, I know you want to fight All Might. We do not stand a chance. So they decide to run, and just like canon, All Might stops them, but Deku gets freed with Bakugo. And honestly, having scenes very reminiscent to what happens in canon. Then Forest training goes almost the exact same as well. I mean, with it, I can imagine, because you have to think, Deku already had a stockpiling quirk. So adding an extra stockpiling quirk is only going to make it more powerful. Now, they get to this forest, and the bus stops, and Deku's just like, oh god, please no. And he goes to get back on the bus, but the ground falls beneath him, and he falls into the forest with his friend, and he begins fighting these monsters, and he finds himself honestly tapping into One For All easier than ever before. And he realizes, like, even on a 50% leftover, like, he's tapping into 35%, almost with ease. After Breast Genist, and how he kind of sophisticated him, and how it kind of helped to keep him in one line and to have that mental focus on one focal point. He actually focused on strengthening everything in his body, and he focuses on the one sole thing, his strength, instead of focusing on his speed, or instead of focusing on gaining attributes and everything. He puts his attributes into gaining one thing. If he wants to gain extra power in his legs, he just amplifies the power in his legs and amplifies the power in his arms to gain an extra pump to, gain more strength and speed. So learning this from Best Genist, and from any, honestly, just doing it, I could see a 50% tapping into at least 30%. And then being 100% would be a 60% One For All. So, and because of the fact that he already has a quirk, no, he wouldn't be getting Black Whip or any of the Vestige quirks. But what I can then imagine happening next would be in the Forest training camp, Deku does the same training he does with in canon. However, anything that was left out from the day before, I could see him actually being required to take it all and maxing out his maximum absorption. Meaning, on the day when the villain's attacked, he finds Coda, and everything else happens due to canon. He walks out and he finds Muscular, but whenever this happens, he caught him at the worst time possible, right after training, when Deku had 100% leftover form, and this leftover form giving him at least a 65% One For All. Now, 65% One For All without breaking bones. So in this form, he maxes out One For All, and he starts fighting Muscular, and he's going band for band with this man, and I mean like blow for blow. Then Muscular decides to get serious, and Deku realizes oh, he can barely keep up. So then, using all the strength of his leftovers, and using all the strength of his One For All, he puts it into one final blow, and he knocks Muscular out, tying him up. And this took an enormous amount of time, like less than it did in canon, but more than what it should have, or more than what he felt like it should have. So, everything else happens to canon. He finds Ojiro and Tokoyami, or not Ojiro, Dupli Arms, and he finds Tokoyami. And, oh wait, I didn't even tell you all the hero name. He decided on his hero name being Zero, just Zero, the waste hero, Zero. So after this, he finds Tokoyami in this haze, and he finds Bakugo immediately. So what he kind of did was he has some of his friends hold leftovers just in case, like discarded food, like old food that they didn't have. He has him hold on to some, like a old pack of gum or something. And so he finds them through that, and Bakugo like pops the explosions at Dark Shadow, and Dark Shadow recedes. And what I can see from here is 1 second they're there, 1 second they're not. Then we get to the scene very reminiscent to canon. However, because of the fact that Deku has significantly less injuries than he did in canon, as well being faster and stronger than he was in canon, I can see him actually catching Bakugo, pulling him out of the portal, and therefore we don't have that same hideout raid arc that we get in canon. Not exactly. However, what we do get in its place is a scene of All Might fighting All for One. However, because of the fact that he used significantly less time trying to find Bakugo than going all the way to the other side of the city to find this hideout, I could see it being a little bit easier of a fight. However, we still get the scene of the "it's up to you," and he points back at the camera. Or that one scene where he aura farmed and he was in his small might and he buffs up, puts his hand in the air, and then he points to the camera. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That was so much aura. Then, from here on out, what I imagine happening is like after about like a month break from school, if not 2. So Deku using this time to completely train. He uses it to heal, but he uses it completely to train. So, and what I can see him getting is at a 100% leftover, he gets 70% one for all. Basically, he's becoming All Might, but better because he can actually stockpile it more. Or not better than All Might, but he's becoming a mini-me to All Might, meaning people are going to start raising suspicions in his class. Like, how is his fighting style so similar to All Might? And Deku's should be like, haha. Baku's should be like, oof. Yeah, that's up to you, man. That's like up to you to explain if you want to. So then Aizawa explains about the dorms and how they're moving in, and Deku and Bakugo are like actually kind of happy about this. Like, their moms aren't going to be like on their back talking about how they don't want him to move in and blah 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 blah, and or how they want them to be safe, and how they constantly get on their butts for chores and blah blah blah. You know, the basic teen stuff whenever you're finding out you're moving into dorms. Then Aizawa explains how the next day how he wants them to get their provisional hero licenses in case of the emergency that these things happen again. He wants them to legally be able to fight back. So then what I imagine happening would be at the provisional hero license exam, basically it would be a complete wash. I don't think I really need to go into it. The only problem that Deku would really have would be against Toga, but even then, knowing that the provisional hero license exam, he would get a 100% leftovers. Or the Shihei Hazaikai. I mean, honestly, because of the fact that Deku has a significant power boost than to canon, what I can see happening with the Shihei Zaikai, or actually, you know what? Let's actually go to the Miria. So, whenever they get back from the provisional hero license game, also, the only people that don't pass and actually have a remedial course would be Todoroki, Inasa, and Kami. Bakugo wouldn't have it because he would have stayed with Deku and he would have gotten the points faster and he would have gotten extra. As well, since Deku kind of rubs off on Izuku kind of being a little bit more kind of a character, still hard-headed, still brash, but he's a little bit more kind, so he would get more points during the saving section. So what I can see is the big three get introduced to 1A. Now, they all go for the fight, and Mirio's like, oh, so you're the one. Kind of like, he kind of knows about One for All, but he doesn't at the same time. He knows enough to be like, oh, All Might was supposed to train me, and he chose you? I'm not mad about it, but blah, 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 blah. They go through the fight, and it's still a dog wash. Mirio completely wipes the floor with them. Like, wipes the floor. Then, what I can see happening after this would be he goes to Night Eye, and Night Eye in this actually sees his future change. Meaning, Mirio won't lose his quirk, and Night Eye won't die. Now, he So he immediately gives Deku the stamp, like, not really tripping about the fact that he kind of took that chance for Mirio because he's doing amazing things with what he has won for all. Now, sorry guys, I need to stand up because my legs are like really tight. I know I'm about to be done with this video, but what I can see happening from here is, and Deku, he on this patrol would only have about like 20-30% leftovers, not thinking too much of it. Now, they run into it, they run into Overhaul, and they see the fact that Eri is so sad, but Izuku, like in canon, lets her go, like having the same talk as he does in canon, having the same mindset pretty much. Being a little bit more hard-headed, being a little bit more brash, like Bakugo. However, he would still have the logical thinking of what Deku does in canon. Now, also knowing that he's not at a 100% way to fight him right now. So everything happens as to what canon does in the original story. However, during the Chie Hisakai raid, Deku goes 100% leftovers, putting him at a 75% one for all. Now, during this, what I can see happening is very similar to canon. Mirio runs in, however, Deku is close behind him, meaning the bullet goes off, but Deku actually pushes Mirio out of the way with Eri. Now, the fight begins. Overhaul actually goes into this like big form. However, Deku with this he everything happens reminiscent to canon. However, Deku is even more powerful because at this 100% form, he still has 100% leftovers that he can pump through his body, putting him at a like 140% one for all. So with this, what I can imagine happening would be the fight would be a complete and utter dog wash. Not a dog wash, but it would be easier than it was in canon, being that Izuku would win in less punches than he does in canon, and then he goes back to class, and you know he tells Bakugo like all about it, because Bakugo would have gone with Best Jeanist again for internships. Now, well, with that kind of ends it all off. I mean, the only other thing would be Gentle, but by that point, the time that it takes in the remedial course, Deku would have figured out how to get to at least like 80% one for all, where that fight would just be a dog wash. And honestly, I don't see anything else really causing him a ton of trouble. I mean, due to the fact that his 100% maximum potential is like a 150% one for all at its cap because of his 100% leftovers. That's kind of, I mean, a dog wash. I mean, the maximum he can go in canon period is 100%. But with his quirk additional to it, he can actually go to a like 150% one for all. So, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all had an amazing Thanksgiving. It's like, it's the morning now, so I'm gonna go get some sleep. I'm gonna edit this video. I'm gonna post it for y'all. Happy Thanksgiving. Please text your family, text your friends, text your loved ones, tell them happy Thanksgiving, and please remember that it's okay to it's just be happy, guys. Like, have a good time, eat some amazing food, and don't forget about the leftovers. But thank you all so much for watching. I'm so grateful for y'all. Without further ado, this is going to conclude the Thanksgiving special for What If Deku Had a Thanksgiving Quirk.